And come see the reality of Reverb Apartments. Located in the thriving Crossroads Art District at 18th and Walnut, Reverb is walking distance to all your favorite restaurants and entertainment. Reverb features floor-to-ceiling sliding panoramic windows which provide residents breathtaking city views. Come be one of the first residents to enjoy Reverb's modern design and technology. Visit Reverb today at 1800 Walnut in the Crossroads Art District or online at reverbkc.com. Reverb, every day inspired.
Come to the Euro Select Countertops and Decor showroom on the corner of 99th and Lackman Road and learn all about their custom remodeling services. If you're looking to save time and money on your next remodeling or new construction project, select your countertops, cabinets, tile, or flooring and get 15% off on all material and installation now until July 6th. Not to be combined with other offers. Euro Select Stone, 14933 West 99th Street in Lenexa or eselectstone.com.
Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here for Window Nation. Window Nation wants you to invest in yourself while investing in your home. You deserve a break after this tough year, and so does your home from those old, inefficient windows. For a limited time, Window Nation has access to vacation vouchers, and they want to send you on a summer getaway when you purchase a whole house of windows. So while your customized, top-quality windows are being made, you could be relaxing in Palm Beach or Napa or the mountains, your choice. Plus, you can get 2 free windows for every 2 you buy with no money down, 0 interest, and deferred payments for 2 whole years. That's a ton of savings and a vacation to top it off. Don't wait, as this vacation offer is only valid to the first 100 customers. Call 866-90-NATION. You'll get 2 free windows with any 2 you buy, plus no money down, no interest, and deferred payments for 2 years. And get that vacation you deserve. So call today, 866-90-NATION, or visit windownation.com and tell them Stephen St. John sent you. Window Nation, the perfect fit.
Have you checked out Creekmore lately? One of the nicest upscale golf courses in Kansas City has a beautiful clubhouse. Come by for lunch or dinner at the Tavern on the Moor Restaurant and Bar, open to the public each day of the week, and breakfast on the weekend. They're offering daily lunch special options for only $7.99 each. The patio is also available to host just about any event. For more information or to schedule your next event, give Rick Scott a call at 816-331-2621 or visit creekmorepoa.com. The Golf Club at Creekmore. Your only short drive of the day will be getting there.
Isn't this a sports show?
I've been a Chiefs fan now, and I've for my entire short life, and I haven't seen any quarterbacks that are out here ready to go rock a jeans commercial. I want Patrick Mahomes to have the ability to go absolutely crush a commercial selling denim.
Almost entirely.
What are they going to do with his voice? It's Pat Mahomes with Lee Jeans here.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Well, now we talk to a man who can almost certainly say Pro Football Focus 3 times fast. Kent Swanson, actually, can you prove it?
Pro Football Focus, I can't do it. Nope.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
Here's the video, Kent. Let's just go ahead and hang out.
You're
here.
gonna make me watch this?
Yeah, 100%. It's amazing. It's You're gonna get some of the precursor here. She gets really mad, and then she takes her jacket off that's tied around her waist, and then drops trowel, leans up against it. You gotta watch, Kent. You gotta watch. Oh. She pooped on the floor, and then he picked it up and threw it at him.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Yes, indeed. That's the Kentro. It means Kent Swanson is opening the show with us here tonight in studio. Hello, Kent.
JB, I just gotta say, if we don't accomplish anything today,
yes, sir,
outside of the fact that you helped me set a Google Calendar reminder for 2024,
true,
it will have been an accomplishment.
Kent was asking when he gets to vote in a presidential election again, and I was like, it's going to be in 2024. Go to your calendar. No, so it's Kent Swanson of the KCSN, KC Sports Network. You can follow him on Twitter at Kent_Swanson. Rudy is here on the other side of the glass. Beard's still out on his honeymoon. Suns Clippers tonight at 8. That's your rundown of what's happening here. We're on 6 to 8 tonight. Kent's here to open the show. We were talking about, remembering to cancel free trials or to cancel subscriptions and whatnot. And I was saying that for me, like whenever there's a free trial or subscription that I know I'm going to want to have for whatever period of time, but I at least want to check back in on it again, or in all likelihood cancel it, and then maybe wait for the next deal to come around. I will just set I'll set a Google Calendar event for like 3 days before that. I suggested that to you, and you were like, "Well, I don't know, I'm going to have this phone in 3 years." I was like, "Well, but what? What do you keep your notes on, your appointments on?" And your answer was, what exactly?
I don't really have an organizational system.
I write mine on my sock. It's always there.
I just think it's wild.
One sock.
Yeah, just I got a sock. It's always there. It's good to go. All my notes, all my appointments.
If you were gonna take a poll on Twitter, who would be more apt to use a calendar, a Google Calendar, between you and me?
Should I say that, or should I say who seems more organized?
I like that better.
Okay.
You got me
I
on
like that one better.
You got me on the Google Calendar game, Josh.
Did I also?
Yeah. So I've always been a pretty big calendar guy. I was just using Apple Calendar.
Yeah.
And recently, within it's something you've talked about plenty of times, but within maybe the last month, I switched over to Google. There are things where I like about the Apple app better. There are things where I like the Google app better, but overall, there are more things I like about the Google app. So I go with Google.
And it's really good, especially if you use Chrome for a lot of stuff. It'll be right there for you. The Google Web app is pretty good. And then also you can have it, the issue with Apple stuff is you can't usually take Apple stuff with you to Android or to PC or whatever. Mm-hmm. Most PC or Android things you can take over to Apple, though.
The website was the biggest thing for me. The fact that the Apple Calendar website is technically existent, but might as well be non-existent, whereas the Google one it works very smooth. It's good.
So, here's you and your wife are expecting your second child very soon.
That's correct.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Write the date on your sock.
This might be the last time I see you guys for a while.
That's sort of my thought is that this segment will go great, or this hour will go great, and then I'll say see you in training camp, and then maybe I'll see you at training camp. You told me what day you're expecting. I don't remember it. I don't know if you want to say it. Either way is fine. How do you know that it's the day? It's just that it's just welded into your brain at this point. You just wake up, just like it's always a background process.
Josh, the birth of your child's a little different than a haircut.
Well, how do you remember your haircuts?
I don't really. I just play. I normally just do it on the day. I just roll in.
Oh my God, this absolute.
I go to Scissors and Scotch. I'm plugging them right now.
That's fine. They're not a sponsor, but they should be.
They should be. They normally have a spot that day, and I just roll in and I just do it.
Somebody asked if neither is an option for which of us seems more organized. I showed you my calendar, and it is a color-coded masterpiece, cluster bleed. It's somewhere in there.
Can I top it? So
sure.
So I also in my calendar have all like sports teams, right? So I have the Chiefs schedule.
Oh, yeah.
I have RSS feeds. Well, you can also you can customize the colors.
Yes.
So I spent a day even with 810 stuff and ESPN Kansas City stuff, and I found the hex code numbers for all of them. That way,
love that.
Not only did I have red, but I had Chiefs red.
Oh my!
Not only did I have blue, but I had Kentucky blue. I had Royals blue. Turns out they're all completely different colors.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable.
I'm proud of you, Rudy. That's the proudest I've ever been of anybody.
For AES stuff, you know what I did? Found the old email where you sent us the hex codes,
yes.
And I was like, here we go.
Which color do you use for AES stuff?
I went with the red, essentially. Not really red,
it's
but
pink.
the
It's
pink.
a pinker one.
Yes.
I go yellow for AES things, but I haven't done custom hex codes on mine.
Yeah.
I feel a little embarrassed.
But anyways, thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you for doing that for me. And now I can cancel my VPN, which I need to watch our Royals in 2024.
Did they get rain delayed? I saw that the start time got pushed back.
It's pushed back, yes. Brady Singer then immediately quote tweeted it saying, let's go. I can only assume tonight's going to get ugly fast because he's going to fight. He's going to be ejected for fighting, but no, not another person, the rain.
The first 9, I just saw it refresh and the numbers have changed. The first 9 votes for who seems more organized were all for Kent.
They know you more. That's you know what I mean. Like they see the chaos of the show on a semi-daily basis.
But here's what we've learned, Rudy. It's organized chaos.
This is the thing.
It is organized.
Look, it's like I saw the calendar.
Yeah.
But people have also seen the show enough that they I can understand. I think why somebody you've only you came back to life recently.
Yes.
A year from now, this may be a completely different way, but it's still recent. Some of the fans may not know you as well.
It's for my Twitter.
But
Our
know,
Twitter crossover is pretty evident.
Pretty strong.
Just go with it.
Pretty
But
vitriolic,
They
really.
see Josh frequently. They see the chaos of the show. I understand why people, their first reactions might be Ken is. He has a kid. If you have a kid, a lot of times you have to be organized because you got all these practices.
It's a very good point.
You also know that I have had to really give an awful lot of chaotic energy because my Twitter account, my profile picture is a black and white headshot. It is journalistic, which I just kept that one because it seemed most likely to help me get verified, which it obviously did.
Do we have to talk about that?
Oh, you know what? Well, since you brought it up.
Since you brought up Twitter, Jordan sent a tweet. Josh, you took 3 months to reply to one of his messages.
And now he's got a job. I don't know what he wants.
Well, it's worked out pretty well.
I don't know what else. Jordan's getting greedy recently, man. I don't know. I almost just spilled some beans also that I shouldn't have spilled.
He's a guest who you take 3 months to respond to.
My DMs are a
just a
different
frequent
story.
guest.
It's not
They
that
are a different story. Yeah, I took you like 4.5 months to reply to me one time on the DMs.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's not where I interact with people on a regular basis. That's where people ask me if I can be on their podcast, and then I figure out the time that I can. That's when the DMs are. My DMs are only open because I, generally speaking, enjoy going on other people's podcasts. That's what they're open for.
All I'm saying is I could have been on the show in January if Josh had just read his DMs.
He's actually been trying to get on the show for 3 years. It's just Josh just wouldn't read his DMs.
Well, because there's the three folders. There's the like people you know, there's the requests, and then there is the folder that says From the Beyond, and Ken's kept going into that folder.
And yeah, you don't think to check, and it's understandable.
I got a tweet asking the question, how many times can I vote? That tweet is from my dad.
So JB the youngster, not particularly organized.
Sure.
Dirty room.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe hung those posters a little crooked on the walls.
No, never. That's the organized chaos. The posters have to be perfectly even. The floor will be covered in clothes.
Yeah, there's like
I'm not an animal, Kent.
There might
exactly
be 50 Arizona Diamondbacks, New York Yankee bobbleheads, but they are in order.
Yeah, they're not all facing different directions. They're all immaculately posed. And then again, my floor does have a mix of clean. There's the clean pile, and then there's the half clean pile, and there's the dirty pile.
This is why I remind people I've been in Josh's childhood bedroom.
It's true.
As a grown adult.
This all does kind of make sense too, though, Josh, because you spent about, I don't know, we had about 30 seconds till we were going on air, and you spent the last 20 trying to get this possum perfectly placed onto your little mantle here.
That's true. It's the details matter, and all of the chaos doesn't really. I have stuff, as John on Twitter has pointed out, I have stuff dangling from my microphone, but it's there every single show. Every show.
You're nothing if you're not consistent.
I'm at least consistently chaotic. Why aren't you verified?
It's a question I wake up and ask myself every day, especially in the last week.
You wake up and you go, why am I not verified, and when is my kid being born again? God, I wish someone would have been a way that would let me write these things down instead of just putting them on post, instead of tattooing all my appointments on myself like I'm in Memento.
Can I tell you a funny story, Josh?
I would love that.
There's a screenshot.
Can you stop knocking over our beautiful...
I'm actually doing it on purpose because now I know that you don't like it.
I hate it!
It makes me better, and I'll show you.
You turned the goat around. It's facing me. I hate it. All right, your funny story.
You don't do well in front of crowds. I don't know.
I don't do well. If they were all facing you, it would be honestly funnier. But it's that some of them are and some of them aren't, and I hate it. Go ahead, your funny story.
I was on my Twitter account. I don't know, it was a couple months ago. Thank you. And
just turn it back around again.
There was a verified checkmark next to my image, to an image of me. It was like a screenshot. It was like some kind of coding error, but like for a brief second there, it looked like I was about to get verified, or I was verified. I saw it next to me. I was like, what?
It's happening.
And it hasn't come back since. maybe I was verified for like 5 seconds. They saw one of my puns and then they just noped out.
Yes. I don't remember what it was that I did, but somebody suggested that I might be the quickest checkmark receiver and loser in the history of the medium because of something along those lines that was probably deeply shameful.
You know what? That's an accomplishment in and of itself.
Yeah, it really would be. I was talking because I was in on the Border Patrol yesterday, and Nate and I were talking about verified check marks and everything. And he was like, "Well, so here's the thing. Like the fact that you have it makes me think that I clearly should have one, but the fact that you have it makes me think that it's not a club that I should want to be in if they let you in." And so I told him I think the most baller move is to get verified and then immediately go change your Twitter handle and just chuck it into the ocean. So they offered me this and I threw it away. I don't actually want to be in this club, but I could be if I wanted to. I think that's your baller move.
I mean, I've heard
you won't do it though.
There's no chance.
You get that check mark, feels good.
I'm walking on eggshells. I made sure everything was set up on the back end. Made sure I had my phone number just in case.
Yep.
Just in case I got that Twitter check. Because I've heard.
Have you gone through the request form and everything?
No.
Oh, we're not gonna get verified till you do that.
I don't want. Is there? I thought they got rid of that.
No, it's back.
They did get rid of it. Now it's back.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you want to just hand me your phone? I'll install calendars for you. I'll get you verified. It'll come around in 2 weeks. What else do you want from me?
You might want to color coordinate my calendar for me too.
I will do that. Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
Just start adding. I'll just tell you some of the key dates in my life.
You want different colors because if everything's just red or blue, then you don't know what's what.
So how do you remember like your non-regular commitments and stuff then? Let's say not your haircuts on the day of, which is absolutely foreign to me. You must not have a consistent person you go to. You just go to the location and then put your head under somebody's scissors, right?
That's exactly right. It's just kind of on a whim. I mean, it's day of on a whim. I'll just be honest with you, Josh. What I'm learning is that I'm pretty lame.
No,
and I don't have a lot of engagements outside of the very basic things about my suburban dad lifestyle. And I'm okay with that.
Do you guys do the pod like at the same time every week?
Yes.
Okay, so that one at least you know.
Yes.
I have recurring events set up when I'm planning on having a podcast the same time every week though.
Every AES is its own separate, entry into my calendar.
Not only do I have that AES was 6 to 8 tonight, I had that you were here from 6 to 7. Just because it's all right there.
I have
know
it
what
in the
color I am, though.
description.
What color am I? Oh no. I'm scared.
Kent, you're white.
What color am I?
I mean, I think Rudy's answer was the funny one. But I was trying to figure out if I was going to say that you were white or not, and I'm glad Rudy came in. You're just in red because all of the 8-10, most of the 8-10 related things are red, except for specifically AES stuff is yellow. So guests just go in red for the most part.
Your level of organization is actually kind of chaotic. I hate looking at your calendar.
Oh yeah, no way. I mean, it gives me a panic attack every time I open the app. Look at that. Look at that.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, no, I'm not. This is not an argument. This is an agreement.
I think just like getting a glimpse at yours, I think mine has more, but that is also, when I say more, that's just also, it's just sports calendars, right? Like I probably have 10 to 12, like just all the various teams, the Chiefs, Royals, Kentucky football and basketball, Everton. It's just literally every team. So I've got like 12 calendars that are just
Do you get
schedules.
push notifications for all of those?
I turn push notifications off.
Thank God.
Yeah,
no, I do need the push notification because sometimes if I know it's one of those, then I'm going to be like a little bit late.
If it's important, yes. But games themselves, a specific game, I turn those off, and yeah.
That's okay. That's good at least. Do you know what I did, Kent, that made me feel like a real youngster a couple days ago?
I don't know what did you do.
It would be crazy if you knew. If you're like, yeah, you this. I've had this
avocado toast.
That's right. I've had this Apple Watch for a while. It's like it's an older one, whatever. But I got it as a Christmas or birthday present. My birthday's 2 days before Christmas. I don't remember.
It all runs together.
It all runs together. I'm so drunk the whole time.
Is that part of the story?
Yeah, no.
Okay. That just is a story.
Okay. No, it's that's
a part of the story. That's the young thing he did. He's just drunk.
I'm just drunk all the time. No, just for my birthday, Christmas, and Christmas Eve. Just that and that trio. I'm just absolutely faded.
And the days in between and around.
And yeah,
it's a whole week.
So. One of the things on my Apple Watch that I've thought about before is like you can apparently like pay with it, but I am a little bit too afraid to look like a boomer while doing it, or I'm afraid to look too young or too old doing it, right? Because if you're like, hold on just a second, I left my wallet in the car, but I can pay with my watch. Just give me 45 seconds, let me call my grandnephew, and I'll figure it out. Like that makes me self-conscious, but also I feel like if I roll up to a cash register on my hoverboard with my AirPods in, and I just go, don't worry about it. And I double tap my watch and hold it up to the thing. I'm gonna look too young. You got to really thread that needle. But the gas station by my house has like the little touch symbol or whatever. Yeah. So I'd done that with my card at one point, and it like was kind of touchy, and it kind of worked. I was like, well, I'm just gonna swipe it from now on. This is not that convenient.
Doesn't seem that convenient.
It's not that convenient.
I just got it, and it's like,
Until last time. Because I went up and I thought, you know what? I bet that's the Apple Pay. I bet I can do the Apple Pay thing with that also, or the contactless whatever. And if I bleep it up, no one's watching. This is a safe place for
empty store.
No, it was at the pump. It was at the pump. It's just me.
Okay.
It's just
Sorry.
me. It's just me in the car, and nobody else is near enough to be ready to roast me for one reason or another. I'm terrified of being roasted in public, I guess. And so I just double tap the power button. Little card comes up, and it's like, hold to reader. And then I held it up to the reader, and immediately it was like, boom, and I was like, oh, you've paid. You can leave now. It's like, oh, that's it. It was. I felt like Buzz Lightyear. The times when the Apple Watch thing, you could, if you want one or have one, great, and if you don't, whatever.
Not getting one.
That's fine. But every time that I have loved it most is when it has made me feel like Buzz Lightyear, where I can pop open my forearm and talk into it like a walkie-talkie, and then shoot a laser, and then buy gas with it. Like that was for me was a watershed moment that I would look back on, because I think now next time I'm at Quick Trip, unless I get cold feet, because Quick Trip's fast-paced. You cannot choke at Quick Trip. You'll put your picture on the wall.
It's a scene. It's an entire scene. I mean, that is a place to be.
Yeah, you do not want to be. You don't want to be the hold up there.
Someone might tweet that out. That might go viral
really
if you're at a Quick Trip.
If you're at a Quick Trip and you're either trying to pay with your watch or with coins, like they'll just give you your stuff for free, but they'll tell you to never come back again. But I think next time I can just tap, hold it up to the thing. I think I'm good. And I feel like I'm living in the future now. But I just needed you to get your calendar your calendar app downloaded.
I just downloaded Google Calendars. And Google Calendar reminders have been popping up for me anytime I book a tea time online, because I'm a suburban dad who golfs now.
Right.
And, I get Google Calendar notifications. I book a hotel, an Airbnb. So like the internet has done more for my calendar than I have.
I'm just starting to kind of piece together these elements of you that I don't think I fully realized, partially because, well, I guess it makes sense. You were dead for like 3 years, and so you were still catching up on the technology.
Basic motor skills are still coming back, and some of these logical things.
Basic motor skills, catching up to things like 5G, all of that stuff like that wasn't around. We went through this whole bit the first time you were making your return, so I guess now we're doing reruns, which feels about right. Why don't we take a break? Unless you have any other fun stories you want to tell along these lines of you slowly becoming the most suburban dad ever. You wore the KCSN t-shirt today, though, which is beautiful.
I did.
You can get that at, I can never remember if it's kcsn.com or kcsportsnetwork.com. You guys probably own both domains, I would think.
That's a BJ Kissel question. kcsportsnetwork.com.
If kcsn.com does not redirect and is available, I'm going to go get it.
Okay.
Oh, it's just a link farm. Oh, that's disappointing. I went to kcsn.com, and related searches are for Christian personals, dating ads, Los Angeles singles, New York singles, personal classifieds, matchmaker.
I mean,
don't go to that.
It's pretty close.
Get pricing for this domain. Boy, how funny. How much is it worth for this joke, huh? Probably not that much. kcsportsnetwork.com. Not only can you see their home for all the work you're doing, you can also... Are the t-shirts public yet?
Maybe not. Maybe. I'm not stealing anybody's thunder. Said too much.
There's a button that says shop KCSN merch. You can hit shop now.
We haven't told anybody yet. I guess we're doing that now.
It's on the website, though.
I know. There's a story there, but it's not that interesting.
Sure sounds like it.
It sounds like it might be. You shouldn't have worn it if it wasn't ready, if I couldn't talk about it on the radio.
I would think that me and others who might be employed by KC Sports Network might be able to get shirts before they go public, Josh. I don't know why it would be such a surprise.
On the website, it says shop KCSN merch. There's no way this is my fault. In no world is this my fault.
Don't worry, I'll do the cops thing where I blur out your shirt so nobody has any idea what you're wearing.
You're wearing it on a video stream. People probably want one.
Maybe I wanted... Yeah, they might want to. Maybe they should just check out the website tomorrow.
It's on the website.
Or you go to the website right now and get the first one.
Why? But, it's live on the website.
You're right. The logic is perfect, Josh.
But we're gonna take a break, and
if this sells shirts, I don't think anybody's gonna be mad.
This all could have been prevented with a Google Calendar.
You could have said July 1 reveal merch drop.
Yeah, I don't do good on my feet.
During the break, Kent will probably tell me who I should be apologizing to after, I guess, trying to sell shirts on your guys' behalf. So I apologize preemptively. And also, bleep it. Go to 18thwhp.com and buy a shirt from there. Those are available.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 8. Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I feel like I bought in this stock early. This Kent Swanson stock.
Yeah, you definitely you're the kingmaker.
See, I think this is save that also, Beards. I want that played before. I want that as a ringtone. I want my text tone to be "You're the kingmaker." I feel like that's only appropriate
on 1510 AM, 94.5 FM, and the ESPN Kansas.
Rudy said as that liner was playing, boy, I hope Beards updated that because I didn't check it. And that was a liner from the ESPN Kansas City days.
Oh, my.
That just still said ESPN Kansas City at the end. Kent didn't have his headphones on. Is when you called me the kingmaker, which day by day only seems more true.
And I know I should check it because Beards there's 100 liners that Beards has in the AES on 810 folder that are still say ESPN Kansas City.
That seems like bad organizing.
No, it's not.
He needs a calendar.
But also, here's the thing: the first couple times it's like, okay, hey Beards, you have these in the wrong folder. Why? It's been like 2 years now. It's on me. I know it's like that. I should have checked ahead of time, and it clicked right as I was playing. I was like, oh boy, I didn't check this.
How was Beard's wedding, by the way? It's a good time?
It was great. It was wonderful. The food was incredible. The only that's an easy highlight. Only concern is that his wife married somebody else. Because they kept talking about, it was like, Rebecca, do you take Nathan Wilhelm to be your... And I was like, yikes, who is that? And so what I realized is I think Beards has been running this double life. Like he either has fake parents or his parents have been fooled by it all. His now wife got fooled by it all. So I don't know if there's an identity thief situation going on. I don't know. But other than that, it was great.
I'd like to meet this Nathan. I bet you know what? I bet you he likes a lot of different foods. I bet you he eats all his vegetables.
Rudy, do you want to explain? Go ahead. This was Rudy's favorite takeaway. The fact that everybody knew two things about Beards universally, all throughout his life, all throughout his family and friends from all phases.
Frequently throughout the weddings, the father, priest, pastor, I don't know what he goes by, was recounting stories, right? Like conversations that he's had, and obviously he's known Nathan Wilhelm since they were kids.
I've never met that man.
Or well, it's not since they were kids, since he was a kid.
Right.
The priest is much older. That'd be weird. Pastor/father. I don't know what he is.
What is the word just officiant?
I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. So you got to throw in all three. Just being polite. Anyways, the one thing that everybody knows about him is that he is the pickiest eater in the world and that he likes the NBA. LeBron James was in the first date story. Like their first date,
Literally
LeBron James was in that story. The thing Beards remembers most about his first date is that LeBron James won, and that made him upset.
And she married him?
That's right. And that's how I know their marriage is going to work also, because they went on a first date. That game was happening during the date, and in my head at least, he went back after the date and was like, God, I'm so mad about the Cavs. I hate LeBron. The date went pretty well. The Raptors blew it. They choked. It's like, wow, that is sort of a strange series of priorities. That's Kent Swanson of KC Sports Network. You can go to kcsportsnetwork.com, and whatever's there is there. And that's sort of between them and God. Pastor, father, priest, whatever, you know? That's up to them. But kcsportsnetwork.com. Also, they can subscribe to the full edition of the Substack now. You want to plug some of those details?
Sure. Can they?
I have, but I'm not sure that I was supposed to.
Is that allowed to be public?
That is public, and it better be public. Tomorrow is our launch day, really our official launch day of KC Sports Network in a lot of different ways. It's the paid subscription model.
I wonder if you'll be able to buy a shirt tomorrow.
I wonder. Maybe they could. Maybe they could get it earlier if they were snooping around enough or listening to this fine program.
This is the first time that me doing a little bit of research has ever been described as snooping on the radio show. I'm underprepared.
I dare you go to a public website and click on a public link, Josh.
I kind of just got to overplay it a little bit for my own sanity.
Didn't hack it into the mainframe or anything.
I gotta protect myself here. So I'm just, you twisted my arm. And you made me tell you the reality. But
no, I found it. I found it before you said it. You did not crack.
That's a good point.
You did not crack. Mm-hmm. You can also go to kcsn.substack.com for more on the Substack that we were talking about.
Yes. We've been giving out, if you've been subscribed to the newsletter last month and a half or whatever, we've been giving out a lot of free content, letting you guys see what we're going to be all about during the season, and it goes behind the paywall tomorrow. So, but it's not just the content. We've got events planned. We got a lot of access to the KC draft guide, which I've never got to plug on this fine show because I've been dead. I've been doing a book from heaven.
Well, that was already a book too, wasn't it? Like I died. The kid wrote, "I died and went to heaven" or whatever it's called.
I have no clue what.
I know
this
the movie All
is.
Dogs Go to Heaven.
No.
This one missed me.
I'm Googling kid who died and went to heaven and came back.
And wrote a book about it.
I think his name's Jesus. It might be the New Testament.
It might be. I didn't write the Bible.
A great point. Heaven is for real. That's the story of the kid.
Okay.
Anyway.
So yeah, we got a lot of really cool stuff going on with the
unrelated to this book.
Unrelated to that book. So Oh, we got an exclusive podcast too. That'll be part of that. That launches on Friday as well. So we got a lot of cool stuff going with what we're doing on the Substack as well.
All the content so far has been great. I was tweeting about some of it as I literally had 10 emails because listen, we've got all of you guys at KCSN, we've got Seth Substack, we have Lesky Substack. I've got at this point now my Gmail is just a Substack funnel.
Hey, you should probably just put a tab separate just for the Substacks.
You know how to do that?
Yeah.
And you didn't have a calendar app until 30 minutes ago.
Yes.
Wow, all right. I'm probably able to actually do that. But I'm a person that will just leave emails unread that I want to go back to. It's why I have the DM problem also. So I probably always have like 10 or 15 unread emails because I will like read them and then mark them as unread if I need to return to them or whatever.
How many Chrome tabs do you have open right now?
Right now I have 2 windows and about 15.
Okay. That's a lot. I got about 8. I got about 8 going right now.
I have a whole page of just code from an RSS feed. I've got several I've got Chrome adding that reading list thing is huge because I never actually go back and read them, but it gives me a place to put all of those things.
See, I don't want to do that though. I'm stuck in my ways very clearly because I don't even use a calendar. I just leave them open and I don't organize them into a read section or anything.
That's basically how the inbox has worked of like I'll have a chance to just sit down and just like read a bunch of these in 30 or 45 minutes or whatever per one because I read incredibly slowly. But like I'll just plow. That's not true. I'll plow through like 5 or 6 of them. So like I tweeted about Craig's about zone versus gap blocking schemes, and then also like there are videos and then the stuff you guys have put up on the Vimeo page and everything. I found Craig's incredibly useful because it's just like it helps marry the text to actual visual elements of it also.
We're trying to do that a lot more. That's one thing we're really trying to do differently.
I was going to tell you not on the air at some point like, hey, you guys should do more of that because I thought it was great. It was incredibly helpful.
Thanks.
So I'll tell you on air.
KCSN.substack.com.
It's right there. And the most recent thing you wrote about is that you put on your big boy pants and you went back to the Super Bowl again. But you went back to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I was doing a podcast from someone whose DM I responded to earlier today, and he brought up like the Mahomes Super Bowl performance is such a unique part of football existence because you have an entire team having the worst day of their professional lives, and then Patrick Mahomes on a bum toe is playing still some of the best football that we've ever seen.
It's ridiculous, and I kind of always equate it to it. This is like watching 43-year-old version of Patrick Mahomes. And I mean, seriously though, like the hobbled versions of him, it's like a guy that's maybe not physically able to do the arm talents there, and he was running for his life. The majority of the game and having to try to figure out and solve problems that were impossible to solve and probably weren't going to be possible to solve healthy. In their entirety. And he's just going out and literally he's hitting dudes in the hands. He is literally doing everything he can to give his team a shot. Like, I don't know if it would have been enough necessarily, but he was giving them a shot.
If they catch every dropped pass, they may have lost that game.
Yeah. I mean, the game script, the way that game goes, the entirety of it, if they put some points on the board and, Tyreek Hill getting hit in the face and Darrell Williams getting hit in the face, all these things. I mean, at least the game script and, how the game is actually played is adjusted a little bit.
Yeah.
And who knows? But it was absurd to go. I seriously, Josh, I didn't watch that game until like the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think I've only seen it the once, and then occasionally NFL Network will put me in a bad place during a show because the replay will have come on, and oftentimes I legit would change it because it's so distracting.
It's just it hurt, and you talked yourself into. Well, I mean, they navigated the offensive line issues pretty well against Buffalo.
Yep.
And, they actually did a lot to protect Mahomes and maybe only expose him for 10 plays that he has to go out and beat Patrick Mahomes. They can RPO him. They can get the ball out of his hands, screen game, actually run the football, all that stuff. But you talked yourselves into it, but it was just not remotely enough.
Yeah.
And it was painful to watch. It was painful to watch him experience that.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
Part of it, I don't actually wish that this would have been the reality, but some of it would have been easier if he also would have just not been very good. It would have made all the narratives way worse. It would have made the offseason even more frustrating because it would have been Mahomes' show. At this point, like I think that in part thanks to reviewing it through a lens like this one, we don't have to deal with the conversation of Mahomes had his worst game in the Super Bowl, because also it was really evident that everyone else was having their worst games. But it's super interesting,
Well,
and it's a nice reminder that he was Patrick Mahomes even whenever nobody else was anywhere near that.
You remember the whole he can't win big games narrative for
Yeah.
a second when he lost on like Monday Night Football like twice?
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that.
When he scored like 50-something points and lost the run. It was like, I can't win the big game.
Yeah, the bright lights in Mahomes. They put
Really-
up 50 whatever to the Rams.
Really
and
struggles in those that Patriots AFC title game. I mean, Mahomes was.
Where he threaded the needle down the sidelines to Spencer Ware with 30 seconds left and got him into field goal range with 35 seconds. In 35 seconds. Yes, that man is just so unclutch.
But he couldn't stop Julian Edelman though, and that's the problem.
Right. Yeah.
I need him to truck stick Gronk.
Rudy, I forgot that he lined up off sides. I forgot Mahomes lined up off sides.
I need him to have spatial awareness.
It's absurd. Okay, I do have a question for you though.
You
with all
seem
this.
like you had a thing.
I just want to. What was the defining? If you were to define the defining images of the Super Bowl, how many of them involve Tom Brady?
Oh, God, well, I was gonna go to two different Mahomes moments out of the gate.
Zero.
The only defining moment for Tampa Bay was Antoine Winfield giving Tyreek Hill the peace sign.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it and love it still so
Yeah,
much.
I know.
I hate it. I hate it because it happened because the Chiefs were doing bad. But I love
the petty.
I love it.
Tom Brady didn't do anything in that game.
I think of three things. I think of Mahomes throwing the ball horizontally, like Superman.
Yeah.
I think of him being that picture of him being broken in half by at least two defenders. There might have been a third. And then I think of Tom Brady throwing the Lombardi Trophy from one boat to the other one.
I was going to say that's my only Brady memory really of the Super Bowl is watching Brady go off to college for the first time and be
hammered in the parade.
And just get hammered. It was the first night before college. All the freshmen got together. They had a beer and Brady's blacked out.
I hate that his legacy gets padded on the back of that performance where it wasn't like he was.
We're biased. I mean, we're thinking of the Chiefs things. I haven't rewatched it, but yeah.
It drives me nuts, especially since Mahomes, I think, did some of the most amazing things that we've ever seen. I mean, literally, he was he Supermaned that throw, and it just whatever it was a drop.
There were literally two incredible plays that hit the receivers in their faces. If they're they addressed the offensive line this offseason, obviously. Issue number one. I think issue number two might just be putting a football-sized hole in the face masks of all the pass catchers. So at the very least, Mahomes can just play darts from 30 yards away. And if he hits you in the face mask, the ball just sticks there.
Yeah, they build a new face mask that has kind of a more receptive, circular kind of.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can go get a little conical with it.
Here, you guys are thinking too difficult here. Easy solution. You just cover that face mask in sticky tack.
That's great. Yeah, baseball.
Now you don't even have to come up. You don't have to create new anything. You just sticky tack it all up, and that ball will just stick right to it.
Spider tack stock right now is going down because they're getting called out. They need to go to the NFL. Hey guys, here's our suggestions. We know you basically already play with these on your gloves, but for Chiefs pass catchers in the Super Bowl, it wasn't enough. We want to make face masks for you.
All face masks.
Pre-rosin face masks.
I like it.
I think that's a good idea.
Maybe that would have made the game closer. But yeah, it was painful.
Probably would have.
Yeah, going back, painful.
Going back through it again had to be not the most fun. I've still not rewatched the whole thing.
I have not either, and I will not. I went and watched the offense is really what I did, and that was the extent of it. I wouldn't watch the whole game. I wouldn't watch the broadcast, and the refs were so bad in that game. We don't even talk about that.
That might maybe that's the advantage of the margin is that we don't have to go. Well, if the refs just would have been because it was still
the refs were egregious.
It was not good.
The first half was horrendous. They called everything under the sun.
You know what else I don't remember really? I don't really remember the post-game show. I remember the Super Bowl winning post-game show pretty well, except for about that chunk of time from about 5 to 5:30 a.m. when I was falling asleep in this chair. And Brad Porter saved me at some point, I think. I think there was at least one segment. I was like, Brad, you gotta, I'm fading. But I don't remember the post-loss Super Bowl post-game show very well.
I didn't watch it.
I meant the one that I was doing.
Oh!
I meant hosting it.
Oh. We did a podcast right after, and I don't remember it either. A lot of pain. That whole thing, the whole experience was just brutal.
I brought like the food and energy drinks for the overnight preparation, because the year before I wish I would have been a little more prepared for that marathon stretch, and then I just took a whole bunch of food home with me, very sadly, at like 2 a.m.
I was lucky. This was the first Chiefs game that I had not worked in like 4 years.
So it's your fault.
Maybe that's the case. Yeah. So I have not been able to like sit down and just like watch a Chiefs game with my dad in years. And so like this was the first time I didn't have to work because I was doing the Border Patrol at that time. So obviously I had to be in on Monday at like 5:30 a.m. anyways. So doing Chiefs would have been that would have been one hell of a shift. But I don't remember the last time that.
Congratulations.
No, if I had to work here, I had to. But I don't remember the last time I'd ever like watched a Chiefs game and been upset, been like mad. Because I was just mad during the whole game. And I don't get mad often.
Yeah.
I don't even think I can define my emotions. They were so complex. It was, I'm serious.
Yeah.
It was like a little bit of that. It was anger at the refs. It was this feeling of inevitable doom.
Yep.
And it's not just that they got beat. It's just the fact that literally they would snap the ball and Mahomes' first steps are sprinting backwards because he's got 3 guys on him. Like, I remember that whole like 2 weeks thinking also like, hey, obviously the offensive line's got issues. It's got some injuries. But Andy Reid's got 2 weeks to figure this out. Like, Andy Reid's going to figure it out. And, and the reality was I don't know what he could have figured out because it was,
our dudes are better than your dudes.
Yeah, there were just so many injuries. I don't know how you fix your right tackle getting beat and literally at the snap, and your right guard getting beat literally at the snap. Like it was, I don't know how you game plan around that.
The Chiefs' backup offensive line, the Chiefs 6 through 10 on their offensive line might be better than what they rolled out in the Super Bowl.
In fairness, it was their 6 through 10 in the Super Bowl also.
More or less, yeah.
Essentially.
I mean, it was close. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's just, yeah, that was.
It was brutal.
There was almost like a hint of, I don't want to say apathy, but there was just this hint of, we got ours. And so like that was sitting in there a little bit, which I think I just spent the whole week going, you know what? The Chiefs, I've seen a Chiefs Super Bowl in my life. I'm content. I'm living.
I'm just happy Brady got his. Yeah.
You know,
that was one of the things that you say that I absolutely was talking about on the post-game show afterwards, which was basically a slightly different, which was, holy bleep. Can you imagine how sad we would all be if they would have lost the last one?
Yeah.
If Jimmy Garoppolo hits Emmanuel Sanders, that game wouldn't have ended there. Mahomes would have gotten the ball back right after. But if the Chiefs would have lost that game, can you imagine? Because the tenor would be different. The tenor would be different right now because we wouldn't be talking about like how the Chiefs fixed their one problem from the last 2 years, basically, it being the offensive line in the Super Bowl. We'd be going, so are they going to win one ever, or are they cursed?
Can Andy Reid win the big game? Can Patrick Mahomes win the big game? Now, all of a sudden, it might actually be a conversation.
Yeah.
You know how Brett Veach goes and overcorrects all the issues that led to his team not winning a Super Bowl? What are they, though, if they don't beat the Niners? Is it going and actually getting cornerbacks? Is it actually investing in the cornerback position?
Goodness, is that what it would have taken?
You know? These are things I think about. You brought it up. This is your fault. But think about it. Is it corner?
And they probably go draft a running back in the first round.
Emmanuel Sanders beat, was it Charvarius or Bashad Deep? Who was it?
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
No, he might have been in the slot, actually.
But I don't remember.
I don't know. I just wonder if they would have been
beat somebody.
You know.
It wasn't Bashad Breeland, even if it was, because my brand now at this point is that Bashad Breeland's never made a mistake, and the fact that Chiefs did bring him back this year was a crime.
Do you remember his apology rap?
Yes, and it was only kind of an apology rap. But I feel like if we get into all the details.
No, it wasn't an apology. He apologized, but then plugged his rap.
That's right. Yes. And that was beautiful. And the fact that anyone on planet Earth would not like Bashad Breeland really, really pisses me off.
That was a top one Chiefs moment for me.
It was like that, the Super Bowl, the AFC Championship game, cutting David Amerson. Like, that was my...
Always made the tackle.
That was my top 4. He sure did. That dude loved the
Great
tackle
tackler.
after guys caught the ball in front of him.
Yeah,
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. Whenever we come back, we'll close out the hour with Kent Swanson of KC Sports Network.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
Ryan Wiebe.
That even work?
You are my strong tower. Fortress when I'm weak.
Oh no.
Your word is good and holy. Your face is all I see.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
It's incredible that I remember the lyrics of that song so clearly. Kent Swanson, obviously, in studio with us right now. You can follow him on Twitter at Kent_Swanson. You can check out KC Sports Network at kcsportsnetwork.com, and you can check out their Substack. It all really goes live tomorrow, including their shirts, at kcsn.substack.com. You can go to kcsportsnetwork.com. Whatever you buy or pay for there is beyond my control. So that's all I got.
Thanks for the plug.
You're welcome. I don't know. Tell me, you know what? Give me this. Give me a little hint. On the other side of paywall day, on the other side of the official sort of July 1 launch, what's something that you're like looking at right now, or something that you're gonna be working on that's a little bit in the works? Give us a little tease.
Can I tease for tomorrow?
Yeah, that'd be perfect. I don't like waiting. I'm very impatient.
So we put out a request on the Discord channel for KC Sports Network.
When did I get a link to that?
You should have got it by now.
Maybe I did. Maybe I did. Maybe I did.
Maybe check your emails.
Maybe I'll check my emails.
I don't know. But
I'm not going to join it regardless, but I wanted to be invited. It's like the checkmark thing.
It's a good hang.
Probably
it's a good hang. We asked people kind of some of the stuff they wanted to see on the Discord, and someone wanted to talk a little bit about the screen game. Andy Reid, so I get to geek out and nerd out about some screenplays from the last couple years, and that's going up tomorrow. That's the first behind the paywall officially for everything piece. No pressure, Kent. But yeah, I'm geeked out to talk it, and I will be doing more video breakdowns on that. It's going to be more video related than it is going to be, written.
Now, are we getting like Hamilton or Book of Mormon? What kind of screenplay are we going with?
Excuse me?
How long is left in this segment for us, Rudy?
1 minute.
I'm going to sit in silence for the entire minute and make you sit in that joke. Kent, you said you were going to break down some of the screenplays, and Rudy said, what kind of like Hamilton?
Book of Mormon?
Those are both plays, though. Screenplay, you could have even at least just said you should have just said No Country for Old Men or something.
I'm gonna
but
break
what you
down
had to write
Jurassic
down
Park.
was the screenplay.
He should sit in silence for like 30 seconds.
We have the 30. The 30 you're there. So just leave it. No, I want to tell people to go read the things that you're going to do. I was going to ask how you thought that was going to end up impacting Clyde's second year. I had like a football question ready to go. I was going to say that people can follow you on Twitter at Kent_Swanson and can go to KCSportsNetwork.com or KCSN.substack.com. I was going to wish you well for the upcoming birth of your next child. I didn't have time to do any of that. Thanks for nothing. Oh, I did do it. I did it all. All right, never mind, Rudy. That was fine.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810.
throw to break even, but you were very like into whatever it was you were working on.
I'm working on something. It'll show up later.
Okay. That's unnerving.
You and I will appreciate it. I don't know how much everybody else will.
Wow, save that for posterity. Almost entirely sports. You and I will enjoy it. I'm not sure if anybody else will.
I mean, that's all that matters, right?
Put that on the show's gravestone, whatever that is. Like, well, listen.
Almost entirely sports. We don't care about our fans.
With Joshua Brisco.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that show was on for, what, a few months? Yeah, what happened? Oh, they were having a good time, but literally no one else liked it. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that'd do it.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thanks again to Kent Swanson for joining us in studio for the last hour. Before I introduce our next guest, and a new one, I want to say what Rudy was telling me during the break. So our next guest is Julian Edlow. You can find him all across DraftKings. You can hear him, see him on the DK Playbook, on the NBA Pre-Lock Live, on the Unreasonable Odds podcast, all presented by DraftKings. You can follow him on Twitter at Julian Edlow. And so he joins us now, but Rudy was telling me as the liner was playing that he accidentally just happened to pick the world's longest possible liner. So, Julian, I think you've probably got like 7 minutes left in your availability here. So thank you for making some time for us, even though the first chunk of it was spent listening to a Sports Center, our longest liner, and then my incredibly long introduction for you.
No problem. Let's make the most of it, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a good forward-thinking way. I dwell in the past, you look to the future, and that's probably also for the best for both of us. So again, you do all this work across DraftKings. We'll talk about a bunch of the stuff that's going on in the NBA right now. We've got Suns Clippers in an hour here on Sports Radio 810. I am a Suns fan, so I am in a very fragile place right now. I also want to start with Suns Clippers coming up here in about an hour. How should I be feeling as this series has gotten to the point we're at now?
I literally don't even know. Wednesdays are a busy day for me. I generally do 5, 6, radio or TV hits. Obviously, I'm a new guest with you guys. This is great. And the NBA just has my brain in a pretzel, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you told me in December we're going to be sitting here getting ready for Western Conference Finals, no Kawhi and Chris Paul to start a series between the Clippers and Suns, and Eastern Conference Finals, we're going to be tied 2-2, Bucks Hawks, no Giannis, no Trae Young, deciding who goes to the NBA Finals. I would be like, that's not true. There's no way that could possibly happen. And yet here we are. I was convinced that Chris Paul would have his guys ready for Game 5, say, hey, I've been in this spot. Treat this is Game 7. We're at home. We're going to the NBA Finals tonight. The Clippers, I mean, the Paul George, Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris trio was, as good as anybody as a trio has looked in the playoffs. So, go figure. Now it feels like the Clippers should, carry some of that momentum into a home game. The Suns, even though it's a depth piece, just as I was coming on with you guys, Cam Johnson out with an illness tonight. That's a good shooter off the bench. And for some
he just
reason,
broke
I
that
feel
news to me, and I hate it. Oh,
yeah, he's been knocking down some shots. He's been a good piece. So I don't know if I don't want to play too deep off the bench. I don't want more Abdel Nader and Torrey Craig. I want more minutes for Bridges, more minutes for Booker. Like this is what load management is for. You got to play. So. I just feel, everything points Clippers, and now it's like maybe the Suns, can dig deep on the road and figure out a way to get this game with a little pressure off them on the road.
Cam Johnson thing stinks because they've had those stretches where, I think in Game 5 he was probably their best, most reliable perimeter shooter especially down the stretch. It felt like there was a chance there whenever Cam Johnson had the ball, and
made all 3 of his threes. I think
that's right, and maybe Game 6 with your logic there. Maybe this is where Jay Crowder hits his first meaningful shots of the series. Like maybe that's what he's due for, because he's sort of streaky that way. But you mentioned sort of the larger overarching storylines of these playoffs. This is very much just sort of how you're personally feeling about it, but I'm just sort of curious. Like, how have you enjoyed these playoffs? Because we have gotten so many injuries to superstars and earlier exits than anticipated for guys like LeBron and Anthony Davis. Like the Warriors not being in it all outside of the play-in games. But there's been incredible basketball, some great endings, some great series. It's just a very, very weird version of the playoffs. How have you enjoyed it, especially compared to years past?
Yeah, well, I mean, coming to you from DraftKings where I'm sitting, we're betting on these games, and I have not enjoyed it because these are terrible games to bet because nothing has gone the way it seemed.
Right.
A healthy Nets team, I think, rolls through the Eastern Conference. We didn't get that.
Yep.
We didn't get a healthy Anthony Davis. There have been some good games. There certainly have been some good games. Some of those Clippers wins in the first round against the Mavericks, very entertaining. That Kawhi Game 5, I think it was Game 4, 6. One of those games, Kawhi dominated down the stretch. I think it was 6. Some of those Suns games, we've gotten great games, but still, the guys that aren't on the floor is going to be the story no matter what for this postseason, the way I look at it. No matter where we go from here, no matter who wins it and in what fashion, the story's still going to be who's not there.
Yeah. There was an interesting, Zach Harper did an interesting piece that was kind of going through. It was very snarky, which I'm predisposed to like, but it was sort of going through how that's been an element of every championship since the dawn of the NBA. Here you had X, Y, or Z missed time or some bad refereeing here, and obviously this year is at an exaggerated pace of that. This is something we've literally never seen before. But I also, and maybe I'm biased because I think the Suns still have their chance here, but I kind of bristle at the idea of an asterisk because everyone is playing by the same rules, but it is also undeniably an incredibly chaotic playoff that, like you said, I mean, that is always going to be either the story or an enormous part of the story. How do you parse all of that? Are you kind of leaning towards, the champion this year will have to carry some sort of asterisk, or it's simply going to be the memory of a Suns-Hawks, Suns-Bucks, Clippers-Hawks, Clippers-Bucks final of a war of attrition, if you will?
Yeah, it's just going to be a weird season, and whoever does win it in the end, that fan base isn't going to care. I'm sure none of these 4 fan bases care. They're happy to be there right now.
Yeah.
So it is what it is in that sense. But at the same time, you can say the Lakers carry an asterisk for that bubble title.
Right.
Although at the same time, you say what type of team can win it? Well, LeBron and Anthony Davis are fully capable of winning it. It's not like they wouldn't have had a great shot to win it had we had a normal style playoff. This year, I do think it's a little different. The champion's going to be the champion, and that's what it's going to be in history books. Yeah. That's how the bets are going to pay out. That's what the fans of that team are going to remember. But this is just different. There's no other word to say it. There are literally, I think we're up to, is it, I don't even remember. I think Mark Stein tweeted it out. It's 7, 8, 9 all NBA or all-star players have now missed playoff games, which is an NBA record. So, it is, people are saying, injuries happen. It's an NBA record of all NBA players that are missing playoff time. So you just got to take it for what it is. It counts, but
right.
Maybe it won't be thought of the same.
Yeah, it counts, but it's also unprecedented. And like you said, no one with a team in the finals, in the conference finals right now is, or in my mind, should be apologizing for it. It's just an incredibly weird year. You had a tweet earlier today talking about the swings in Game 4 of Phoenix Lakers and with the Bucks and Nets, and how unique it seemed because there was so much uncertainty about some of those injured stars. And now you said we have an even larger swing in the same playoff with the Bucks going into Game 4 after Trae Young was ruled out, and now looking with Giannis, his injury last night. He's doubtful for Game 5. Again, Trae Young missed with the deep bone bruise last night. With all of that, I mean, you mentioned from a gambling perspective that nothing has gone the way that it seems, but can you expand a little bit on the swings that you've seen watching the lines in these playoffs?
Yeah, so in my career, following and being in the sports betting industry, I haven't seen anything like this, and it's happened 3 times in this postseason.
Crazy.
And this one between the Hawks and Bucks is more than anyone we've seen. So just to give you the numbers really quick, Lakers up 2-1 in that series. The Lakers were minus 900 in that series. If you want to win $100, you have to bet 900 that the Lakers would win that series. Game 4, Anthony Davis gets hurt, they lose the game. It's now a 2-2 series. 1 game later, all you did was lose, but you lost Anthony Davis. The Lakers were then underdogs in that series after 1 game. I was like, we're never going to see that again. That is a unique case. Next round, Harden hurt in game 1 against the Bucks. Still, Nets dominating. Nets are up 11 points in game 4 in Milwaukee. It looks like they're going to go up 3-1 in that series. Kyrie rolls the ankle. They were around minus not 800 to 900 in that series going into game 3. After that game with Kyrie hurt, lost on the road, underdogs in that series in the swing of a game. We're never going to see this again. Happened twice. Lightning struck twice somehow. This round, the Bucks were minus 2,000 going into game 4. And then Trae Young gets ruled out. They're minus 2,500. If you are following the numbers, that means you have to bet $2,500 on the Bucks to win the series to bring back $100 of profit. After the game, Giannis hurts the knee. Hawks win the game. This series is now, the Bucks are still slight favorites, but it's near a pick'em series. Literally unbelievable. Unbelievable. You could have bet the Hawks like plus 1,000 to win the series before the last game.
It's hard. It's hard to wrap your head around it because those swings would have to come with something unprecedented, and here we are in the unprecedented things all happening in real time. It's incredible. This is not directly playoff related, but I wanted to make sure I asked you about it. I used to cover the Celtics, and I was just very interested. Our resident Celtics fan is unfortunately on his honeymoon, and I'm sure that he's heartbroken to not be here for this question. But what did you make of the Brad Stevens, Danny Ainge moves, and ultimately with hiring a new head coach in that process, but specifically with Brad Stevens stepping away to go into the front office?
Yeah, the fact that Brad Stevens isn't the coach of the Boston Celtics doesn't necessarily surprise me that much. The fact that Danny Ainge moved on from the general manager role, I expected. But the way it all went was very surprising to me. The fact that Brad Stevens transitioned from a coaching role into a general manager, president of basketball operations, nobody, and I mean, I'm not around the team anymore, but nobody that I still talk to that is around the team saw that happening at all. So that was stunning. I hope they're doing it for all the right reasons. Obviously, they owe Brad Stevens a lot of money, so I hope they're not trying to save themselves some money from hiring another GM. But so far, it seems that way. Like, Stevens is doing his thing. Unloaded Kemba quickly. Yeah. Got the guy he wanted as head coach, and it seems like, and he knows this roster. He's coached this roster, so he won't be shy to unload some guys that he knows aren't necessarily the right guys. As for the coaching hire, as a Celtics fan, I kind of wanted to see maybe a little bit more of a Chauncey Billups, Sam Cassell type of hire, a guy that was more of a more prominent player that has a ring. But, you step back and look at it a little more, and Ime Udoka is a pretty good hire. He was a former player. He was a back-end of the roster player, a guy that worked his way into a starting role with the Trailblazers for his kind of signature season, a guy that played under Greg Popovich, a guy that coached with Greg Popovich, a guy that coached Team USA and coached Tatum, Brown, Smart on Team USA. He seems very bright. He's in the right kind of younger age group, like same as Brad Stevens' age group, and he has the respect of the players. And he's been around. He's been with Philly. He's been with Brooklyn. He knows how to manage stars, I would say, probably better than Brad Stevens was able to. So I don't think the Celtics are in a worse place at all. I think they're in a good spot moving forward. It's a weird set of events. And maybe not the sexier name like a Billups, but it's definitely a step in the right direction, I would say. Especially just keeping Tatum and Brown happy. If those guys are happy with the hire, they like the relationship, a guy that they're going to listen to in the huddle, and Stevens knows how to manage this roster, then those are all good things.
You said that you're not terribly surprised that Brad Stevens is no longer the coach. Is that a Tatum Brown thing, or is that because it hasn't been quite as a shining achievements of their last couple of seasons with Brad Stevens at the helm? Are you getting the feel there that was the Celtics getting a little tired of Brad Stevens getting a little tired of the coaching? Can you unpack that a little bit?
I think it's a little bit of both. Not to cop out, but I think it was just that's the way it worked. And I know that Stevens. I think Stevens was getting a little bit tired of the coaching. I think that it was kind of a grind for him to get through to those guys the way that he needed to get through, and I think they've now hired somebody that will be able to get through a little bit better. And as shocked as I was to kind of see Stevens go into a front office role, at the same time, he knows the roster well. He's been working under Ainge for a long time. Like, I just didn't want Stevens to, like, you know, kind of overvalue his own guys.
Yeah,
and
sure.
You can already tell by the quick move on Kemba that he isn't. Now, of course, he brought back one of his own guys now, Horford.
Right.
So, like, I'm just gonna step back and say, you know what? There were 2, 3, 4 maybe contracts that you can make work with Kemba to actually make a deal. So there's only so many deals you can make. OKC's the type of team that makes these deals, so it was just kind of Horford by default.
Yeah.
And hey, Brad Stevens has a relationship with him, so it works. But I think from the early going, it looks like Brad Stevens is going to be aggressive and make moves to improve the roster. I'm really waiting to see him, like, you know, unload a name that he's kind of closer with to show us, like, all right, this guy's doing business. He's doing his job.
It's got to be weird to be Kemba in that spot too. You're like you're kind of the dude there, at least on some level, and you play under Brad Stevens directly, and then his first move as soon as he gets the reins at the GM spot is to send you right out of town. That's got to be kind of an odd dynamic. But you're right. Interesting that that Stevens doesn't appear to be, you know, keeping the band together just for the sake of it. I just saw a DraftKings Sportsbook ad on ESPN in front of me. I've got some of the props you just tweeted out here just a little bit ago at Julian Edlow again on Twitter. Before we let you go, anything for this game tonight? Anything Suns Clippers that jumps out to you? You say, hey, you know what? Go take a closer look at this bet at these odds. Obviously, the ones you tweeted out were before we found out about Cam Johnson not playing tonight, but what strikes you right now? Where's the smart money?
Yeah, so, I mean, picking a game right now is impossible. Not going to lie.
Right.
I'm not even going to try and pick a side. Enjoy the game. What I will say is Zubac out again for the Clippers. That means, I mean, I think Paul George is going to play 44, 45 minutes in this game. He's really been rebounding the game. 15, 16, 13 over his last 3 games. You can get him at plus money for over 10.5 rebounds. I think that's my favorite bet in this game. And then the Cam Johnson thing is something. So to be honest, I've been on the phone with you since that news came out.
Yeah.
But we got to look into, you know, maybe Mikal Bridges gets 8, 9 more minutes out of this, and you want to look over on him. So I'm about to go look at that. You gave out my Twitter handle. If I think anything makes sense, I'm going to throw it out there.
Go follow him on Twitter and make sure you can find out if anything else pops off the screen. I think the Paul George also, there's a Paul George to score over 30.5 points and Clippers to win plus 240. Feels like pretty. If you think the Clippers are going to win, at least, I guess, that makes a lot of sense. But if you're terrified of betting on winners and losers in these playoffs, I wouldn't blame anybody for that. Julian, thank you for making some time for us here today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you guys for having me.
Again, Julian Edlow. You can follow him on Twitter at Julian Edlow, EDLOW. Plus, you can hear him and see him and watch him and listen to him all across all sorts of things on DraftKings, the DK Playbook, NBA Pre-Lock Live, the Unreasonable Odds podcast, all presented by DraftKings. And again, follow him on Twitter at Julian Edlow. I want to talk about the asterisk stuff, a little more about Suns Clippers whenever we come back here next on Almost Entirely Sports.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810WHB.com.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon, you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell introduced the original cookies and cream ice cream. So every time you dig into that familiar creamy vanilla ice cream that's loaded with chunks of chocolate cream cookies,
first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Can I tell you the secret on this, and then we can talk about other stuff?
Can I tell you something too? Last night.
What?
Like last.
You can't play an Uno reverse card on me.
Yeah.
What?
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I try not to always immediately just start talking about the Liners because I'm not sure it's the best way of going about this show. But I know that one's good because it makes me mad listening to it again. Hearing it in real time, I had the same reaction of like, Rudy, you can't just do that.
I don't remember at all what you were saying to me or what I was about to say to you. Don't remember any of it.
Not a clue.
But I reverse Uno'd you.
A quick follow-up on the poll question from when Kent was in, by the way. Who seems more organized, me or Kent? 212 votes on Twitter at JB Brisco to this point. What do you think it is, Rudy? Give me your guess.
212 votes. I would say that it's probably somewhere around 65% Kent, 35% you.
How about 81.6% for Kent?
Whew.
And he admits it's not true.
Yeah.
That is inaccurate. Inaccurate.
I totally understand why people would think Kent. Like, again, I like it's one of those deals that you don't judge a book by its cover. But Kent's cover feels more, or it definitely looks more organized than yours. Like, Kent's cover, everything is in a spot for a reason. On your book cover, there's a fire in the background.
On the back of my laptop.
There's a bunch of stickers. You're like, wait, what's this Pokemon doing here? I don't know. Yeah. Speaking of that, did you see coming soon? I don't remember the exact date. We're getting a collab. Pokemon.
No.
Oreo. We're getting a Pokemon Oreos. Packaging
my goodness. That's so relevant to what this show was last week whenever Matt Derrick was in with us.
Yep. We're getting a Pokemon one.
Pokemorio? Pokemorio? That's fascinating. That's great. I'm thrilled.
The Oreo account tweeted it out today. It was just an Oreo with like sparks.
Electricity around it. Oh, wow.
Hey, trainers, what do you think this is about? It's like, I know.
Hey, Oreo, I know.
Hey, Oreo, I know.
What do I win, Oreo? What do you think it's going to be?
I assume it's going to be similar to like the NBA Dynasty one, where it's like there's a Pikachu on one, a Charizard.
Just doing the starters and Pikachu.
Yeah, starters and Pikachu
4 stamps.
feels
That's
right.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's very exciting. There are two things I wanted to talk about before we get out tonight. No show tomorrow because we've got Hawks Bucks here tomorrow night on 8:10. I'm answering a question that I asked Julian, but I've really enjoyed these playoffs, even the non-Suns related games, even with all the injuries. So with that being said, maybe Suns Bucks, Hawks Bucks tomorrow here on 8:10. Go ahead, Rudy.
I was gonna say like the injuries have obviously made an impact, and we kind of talked about this, I don't know, a week or two ago, where it's like you want to see some of that star power, right? Like you want to see some of those big guys. It's a little bit different when every team is dealing with it because it's kind of like it's the chaos. But we like a stat that I mentioned a couple times, we have seen LeBron James or Steph Curry in an NBA Finals every year for the last decade.
Yeah.
Like we've largely seen the same teams play the same. There's been 3 or 4 teams, and really I guess you could say it's 2 teams, the Warriors and wherever LeBron plays.
That's right. Yes. But the 2 teams are the Warriors and LeBron.
and LeBron. And this year, because of injuries, there's just pure chaos. We're going to get teams that we don't see. You don't see the Suns in the finals. You don't see the Clippers in the finals. You don't see the Bucks or the Hawks in the finals.
Yep.
We're going to see a team win the finals that you never see win the finals. Like I'm pretty sure between those 4 teams, there is an NBA title victory, at some point in the far past. I think the Bucks or the Hawks have probably won one at some point in their history.
Yeah.
I don't know when they have. I assume they have. So I don't think we're guaranteed to get a first-time winner.
I think we had to go through this a couple of shows ago.
Yeah,
actually.
But you're talking about teams that generally do not win titles, and it's fascinating, right? It's fun seeing something new, especially in a league that throughout its history has been dominated by dynasties.
Yeah.
You look at any decade throughout the history of the NBA, and you see one team has clearly dominated that decade. And it's like that in most sports, but even a little bit more so with the NBA. And so it's fun to see something a little different.
The Hawks and Bucks both have 1. The Suns and Clippers have 0.
I figured the Bucks and Hawks had, because I knew they've had really good teams in the past. I figured they'd probably got one along the way.
I actually think that Hawks one might have been
an ABA
St. Louis Hawks. It was.
Ooh.
It was. So
Just
Atlanta
the Bucks.
has not won one. But also for your timelines, the St. Louis Hawks won the championship over the Celtics in 1958. My dad wasn't born then.
It's been a minute.
And then the Bucks won in 70-71.
Yeah. The average
with Kareem,
the current NBA,
Lou Alcindor at the time,
and that's what I was thinking. I was assuming that. I was like, they've had some good players,
Yeah.
but the current group of NBA fans watching, like the average NBA fan, has never seen any of these teams compete in a final, let alone win one. Obviously,
yeah. So that's
it's fun.
I have enjoyed that, and there's also just been, and again, I'm a Suns fan, so I'm biased on this front, but I feel like the fan bases have also been pretty vocal and pretty fun. It's super easy to root for. The Hawks last night chanting the shot. I mean, they've been doing this for the whole series, but last night specifically, going 1, 2, 3 in unison, counting when Giannis is waiting to shoot the free throw because they're timing out his shot clock, his free throw violation, which never actually gets called, is such good, petty, harmless fandom. Because then whenever he got hurt, like they all applauded when he left. That right there, that is perfect. I think perfect fandom is chanting tauntingly at Giannis, just counting while he's at the free throw line, and then he leaves and no one cheers whenever he bleeps up his knee. No structural damage, though. Also good news on that front.
It's very good, yes.
The thing I mentioned talking to Julian last segment is this article from Tom Haberstroh. It's on NBCSports.com, and the crux of it is that every single title in the history of basketball can have an asterisk by it if you want to put one there. Last year, you have the bubble. The Raptors, asterisk reason, 2019, Kevin Durant ruptures his Achilles tendon in Game 5. Klay Thompson tears his ACL in Game 6. Kawhi rested all season, and a timely gust of wind at the end of Game 7 against the Sixers nudged the ball just enough to fall in the basket. Unfair. 2018, the Warriors. LeBron James, quote, pretty much, unquote, broke his hand. Chris Paul's hamstring popped. And the Game 7 referee audit produced by the Houston Rockets showed that 81 potential missed calls that cost the Rockets 18.6 points. Fraudulent championship. Certified by accountants. There's that sort of snark throughout the whole thing, and you get back far enough and some of them are objectively silly.
Any of them cost the Nuggets the title, because then those are the ones I want to get outraged about.
My favorites are that he gets back into the 50s with 1953 NBA champions Minneapolis Lakers. Asterisk reason there were only 10 teams. Because there's something to that. And look again. The
Celtics titles, those are real asterisks, though, because, it's Boston. Congrats on you hiring your first black head coach.
Just so everyone knows, Rudy just got hacked right now.
Sorry. Hey, I've been hacked. Passwords have been changed. Tweets been deleted.
I just saw a shadowy figure popped up behind Rudy and plugged a USB drive into the back of his neck, and then he said that, and then they unplugged it and disappeared into a cloud of smoke. It was wild. He was hacked. But again, and some of these are more asterisky than others. The point being, if you want to put a qualifier on a championship, you can do that for anybody, anytime, any sport, because nobody ever finishes the season the exact way that they were. One of the things that the NBA gets so right is that you have these 7-game series. It means you almost always actually get the best teams in the finals, and typically you get the best team winning the finals. And this year, people are going to say, well, the best team isn't going to be the one that wins the finals this year. And that's not really true. Because the best team at the start of the season doesn't get to win a title or not. The healthy Nets would have rolled through the East. The healthy Lakers probably meet them in the finals. But that didn't happen. For the Suns, obviously, there have been injuries all over the place. Chris Paul had his shoulder bleeped up against the Lakers. Then he got COVID. Devin Booker's nose is in 3 places.
Not wearing a mask, by the way.
Going to be interesting. Very intrigued to see how that goes.
Or he's at least going to try not to. They said he might put it on, but he feels good, doesn't want to wear it, not going to wear it.
Cam Johnson's missing time. He's not Chris Paul or Devin Booker, but like this Kawhi, obviously, he's because he's better. Kawhi's knee, obviously, an enormous loss for the Clippers. You have Trae Young, and then you have Giannis in their Eastern Conference Finals matchups. It's not an even playing field. These are not the healthiest versions of these teams. They're the best versions of all of these teams. That's all true, but it is the teams that are just here at the end. Every year, we last year, one of my favorite clarification points for the bubble playoffs, where some people said, hey, well, this season, this one also needs an asterisk. And if it does, it should, because it was the strangest and maybe most difficult playoff run in basketball history, because you're all in hotels in Orlando.
And you got to go up against the Nuggets.
Right. You're playing without fans in the stands. No one's played without fans in the stands in the NBA since some of their early high school days. You have fans in the stands every step along the way up until that point. It was different. It was difficult. This year is a difficult and different season. That's true. But whoever wins has won an NBA title. They might stand out like the bad boy Pistons did, where you go, wow, that's funny that the Pistons won that title and then never really made that push again. Maybe it'll be the Hawks or the Suns or the Clippers who you don't expect to get back. The Bucks, I think, are a little different because you expect them to keep building around Giannis, whatever it may be. I just have no real patience for the asterisk thing because everybody's, I think I tweeted this last night. Asterisks are for when there are teams or people who are not playing by the same rules as everybody else. That is not what's happening here. It's not what happened in the bubble last year. You want to put an asterisk by Barry Bonds' records? Then you can. Now, I would argue that a ton of the people around him were playing by the same rules that he was, but I think that it's reasonable. If you go to baseball history, before the sport was integrated, there were some rules. Everybody was playing by the same rules, but you weren't inviting everybody to the table, right? You can place asterisks anywhere you want throughout sports because there are always extenuating circumstances where great players get hurt or something weird happens. Happens all the time in every sport. It happens the least in the NBA, and it still happens every year in the NBA. So I just don't want to spend a whole lot of breath during the finals or certainly after the finals talking about if it's a diluted championship for whoever it is that ends up winning it. It won't be. It'll be a championship in a year that we'll all remember as being an incredibly strange setup. Last year, the Lakers, on their way to their championship in the bubble, got extra rest while the NBA figured out what to do. Would LeBron and Anthony Davis have been healthy without having a pause towards the end of the season? I don't know. I'm not putting an asterisk by that, though. They won a very difficult championship, and everybody got a break then, too.
I'm going to put it by them because if they just played the season with no breaks, Nuggets would have clearly won.
You can have that one.
Yes.
You can have it.
Thank you.
Not
Finally
this year's.
found one.
This year's they can't have, though. You know what? If you want to give Jamal Murray an asterisk there, the Suns actually beat the Nuggets in 5. Just kidding. It was Suns in 4. Let's take a break. The other thing I want to talk about is some name, image, likeness stuff that happened today. I want to discuss some of that whenever we come back.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well,
$169. Check them out online at firework-mania.com.
Due to overwhelming demand, Diamonds Direct is extending our special finance offer through this Saturday, just in time for you to celebrate the 4th with some new bling. That's right, now through Saturday at 6 p.m., you can make any purchase at Diamonds Direct and spread your payments over 5 years without paying a dime in interest. It's easy, it's smart, it makes everything affordable. Diamonds Direct's best offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing now through Saturday. On approved credit, get store hours, directions, and details at diamondsdirect.com.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I maintain that the only act of kindness I'd like to see from Pitbull anytime soon is his own retirement.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Last segment of the show here on Almost Entirely Sports. Before we head into what can only be really deemed at this point the greatest basketball game of all time before it's even happened, because it's going to be the game that's going to send the Suns into the NBA Finals. Unless they lose, which isn't going to happen. Not worried about it. It's Suns in 4 and 6. That's sort of that's the mindset now. So that starts here in just a little bit. We'll get you Western Conference Finals, Game 6, Suns-Clippers. That's next here on Sports Radio 810. But in the meantime, I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk a little bit more in depth and look at some of the things that have happened today, like hours ago, in the sort of whole name, image, likeness construct around the NCAA. Nicole Arbach tweeted it and summarized it this way back at 3:30 this afternoon. The Division I Board of Directors has voted to approve the interim NIL, name, image, likeness policy. A source tells The Athletic college athletes in all 50 states will be able to monetize their names, images, and likenesses starting tomorrow, July 1st. We're talking midnight. The bell tolls here. Doing so will no longer violate NCAA rules, from Nicole Arbach's tweet there. Some of these specifics are bonkers because you can look at what the NCAA perspective is here, and it's essentially it's up to the teams unless it's been decided by the states, because there's no national standard right now, and it is going to be in some ways a bit of the Wild West. Not that college sports hasn't already been that for quite a while.
Sports have been as pure can be.
Just
They've been as pure as
uncut
I had a
meth.
joke, and I was like, you know what? Probably shouldn't say it on the radio.
I'm glad you bailed.
So we're gonna move past that, but it's pure.
I'm gonna say the NCAA actually is as pure as Walter White's meth.
My next joke was going to be, I was like, here's a safe joke, but you had the Walter White thing ready to go. Good job.
I think it's a good comparison, because it is pure and incredibly destructive.
Yeah.
But Matt
and blue,
Tate,
weirdly.
And also blue for some reason. Yeah. Matt Tate, our friend from Lawrence Journal World, tweeted this out earlier, and I thought it was interesting. He said, the name, image, likeness stuff is wild and obviously long overdue. Just like that, a whole new era of college athletics begins at midnight. Happy for the athletes and sports in general. What irks me is how quickly the NCAA made a major decision here. If they can move this fast now, why not before? And this is one of my favorite views on it, and I think that Matt is being a little purposefully obtuse on some level of like, hey guys, why didn't you do this sooner? But the reason is because they simply didn't want to. The more control the NCAA has, the better for the NCAA. The less money that is coming from outside that they're not capitalizing on, the better. The NCAA never wanted college athletes to be able to profit off of this system, because it's all easier if they're simply not allowed to. But the reason that I like this tweet so much isn't because of that point. It's because one of the counterpoints for name, image, likeness, for paying athletes over this last decade really of talking about it is, oh man, I don't know, but how are they going to pull it off? And what happened is the Supreme Court of the United States of America, wait for my next word here, wait for this next word, this first word of this next clause is really important and really shocking, unanimously,
happens all the time,
unanimously said bleep the NCAA.
It's not a country that's divided. We're all in this together.
The Supreme Court, which is people are living and dying about how, because I mean it's an incredibly important judicial body. It's the most important judicial body in America. But the reason that every Supreme Court seat it always ends up leading to some sort of political battle,
big fight.
It is always fireworks all over the place. It's because they never agree on anything. You get, even though it's a theoretically non-political body of judges, it is obviously incredibly politicized and it's polarized and all of those things. The Supreme Court said, what do you think you're doing here? Why? What constitutionally would make you think that you can just say, hey, no players, you're not allowed to make money off of your face, off of your name? The fact that, also great news for the college sports games. I think there's still a couple hurdles to hurdle here, but this is still good.
It's a good first step.
But the Supreme Court said this is ridiculous, that you should have fixed this a long time ago. And right now, the NCAA, their only move for there to be an even somewhat equal playing field is to say, well, bleep it all, I guess. Because that's the only logical way they can go. Because otherwise, you're going to have some states that could be having players profit off of it. That would have been a disaster for college sports. This will not be. This is going to work out great.
We saw just last week, I believe, when Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear made an executive order. And the reason why was because every other SEC school had name, image, and likeness laws that would allow them to profit, whereas Kentucky didn't. And if you think for a second that people, because here's the thing, like Calipari has mentioned this multiple times.
Yep.
If we're all eating at the same table, Kentucky will always eat first. I'm not worried about the rules because we'll always eat first if the rules are the same for everybody. If now all of a sudden Mississippi State can pay players and Kentucky can't, Kentucky's going to lose some players.
Yep.
Because players are going to go to where they can be paid.
Yep.
And this even goes to Louisville football, which hasn't been necessarily great lately, but has a little bit more of a history, and even basketball, of being successful. Now all of a sudden, if they can't pay players while all their competition can, whew, we got problems. Like that, and then that's where the issue comes in. Which is now obviously not an issue.
You would like to have a pseudo even playing field. Now look at college.
As even can be.
Right. Look at college football recruiting classes every year. It's always Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, and all of those teams. They're always there at the top. The LSU has TV. They have TVs in every locker. I think it's LSU that had that in the revamped locker room.
Probably.
But you get these
Clemson
locker rooms.
Has a slide. They have a in their football facility where there's also a putt-putt golf course, I think outside of around it. But if you're on the top floor, I think it's a 3-floor building, you can slide down to the entrance. So when you leave, you can slide on your way out, which I assume Dabo did at least within the last couple hours, because he said that if players get paid, I will quit.
Yeah,
so
that had to be.
He went sprinting, full swan dive, hands first down and
down the slide, 100%.
And he's out. He's retired.
Done. Yeah,
maybe he'll go to the NFL one day, or honestly, he'll probably go to high school because that's purity.
Well, so there are two other things about this. One, now high school athletes can benefit off their name, image, and likeness, and not put their future. You might go to Pop Warner, and also now if you do profit off your name, image, likeness in high school, it no longer puts, or in your recruiting process, it no longer puts your eligibility in jeopardy, which is also huge.
We just saw, and I cannot remember their names for the life of me, but Overtime, which some people may know is they're kind of like a social media high school grassroots basketball thing, is creating their own high school league, right? Their own league.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's meant to target high schoolers, develop guys to the pros. These twins from Atlanta, who are both, I think they're both top. They're both definitely top 100 recruits. I think they might be both top 50, but they're not necessarily the top 10 recruits in the nation. Have signed with them, and I believe over 2 years will make $1 million total, so about $500K a year.
Crazy.
And the thought process obviously was that when they signed this, they are foregoing their college eligibility, obviously, to do this, and with the plan of going pro. Now, here's the thing: they signed here to make money with the plan of, after they play in this overtime league, to go pro. There's a good chance that, and even by then, who knows? At that point, NBA may allow them to go straight pro, or they may just go to the G League. Odds are they're going to play professional basketball when their overtime, when the overtime time is up.
Right.
But if all of a sudden that professional route isn't appealing, and Kansas comes in, or Duke comes in, or Kentucky comes in, it's like, hey, we know that you probably want to go pro, but look, hey, we can also pay you now. Your eligibility's not been ruined. We think you're good. Come here. Come here instead of the G League.
And there's just no artificial shrinking of options, which is not something that we abide by very often in America at all. People get incredibly defensive whenever you do anything in terms of option limiting. And that's one of the other things with, well, also, I want to go back to two little quick things that along the high school line. Jeff Schwartz tweeted this because Tommy Tuberville, former college coach and current senator.
Yeah.
Of
what is
the
he
United
doing
States
right now?
of America.
Senator, yeah.
Was
Alabama?
talking. He was saying
Senator of
some.
Alabama?
That seems right. He was saying some nonsense, and
Yeah, that doesn't sound like Tommy.
and I thought Jeff Schwartz made an interesting point, saying name, image, likeness is going to benefit Olympic sport athletes more than football or basketball players, and the idea that people aren't going to donate money or profits is complete nonsense, and that's obviously true. But if you are in a position to make a little bit of money, if there are players who I have not heard of who are putting out logos, who are taking endorsement deals, who have been tweeting, "Hey, I'm open for business whenever we get here." Just simply having that door open that does not even include their school paying them, just at this point seems like the most obvious thing in the world. The other thing is that it literally changes overnight tonight. It literally changes at midnight, but it feels like we are going to societally move past it at midnight tonight because it's just simply no longer an issue that we can have a discussion about because the case has essentially been closed.
It is surprising that there isn't some sort of kind of slow rollout, right? Or like kind of like guidelines, essentially. Like
they waited to the last minute, though. They waited to the last minute.
Yeah, and to be
we're
honest,
all trying to find who did this.
you can honestly make the question: should there even be guidelines and whatnot? And part of that is we're figuring out. But the NCAA is generally not which it kind of makes sense for them because I think the reason why it's just boom, here we go. It's because it's like, hey, if we try to make a plan to follow, we're probably gonna bleep this up. So you know what?
Right.
To hell with it. It's
Right.
like here's a little story. This is what it reminds me of. Basically, when I was a kid, we went on a family vacation. We're in a.
So do you want me to hit the liner for this segment really quick?
Oh yeah.
Story time with Rudy. Ha.
And we're in a. I don't know if we were in a Dave and Buster's, but we're in a place that's like a Dave and Buster's at the very least,
Sure.
right? And
Chucky Buster's.
We're just having a good time. We're playing games, and all of a sudden, you just hear some dad yelling. You kids think I'm made out of money? Well, fine, take it all. And he just throws money up in the air. What? The kids grab and they scatter. And the NCAA is just the dad here. It's like, fine, you want name, image, and likeness? Here you go. And everybody's just going to grab and run and scatter, and we'll see what happens. But now the NCAA can at least say if something goes wrong, say, hey, we had nothing to do. This isn't our thing.
I would have.
I
would think about that guy every day for the rest of my life. I think
this story is it's one of the more frequent stories told because like me, my sister, and my dad, I think even my mom saw it like with our eyes. Right, it wasn't like one of us saw and we were related.
Right,
we were all right there.
What
and
a mental breakdown.
And to also credit to the kids who just did not like stop and like, oh, Dad, I'm sorry. They just saw cash. They grabbed. They ran. They all scattered in different directions. Hitting up all the different games. It's a good play by both parties.
Really was good work all the way around. Anyway, I'm glad that this is happening. Yeah. It seems like it obviously is deeply and far overdue.
It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward and how
Extremely.
It is regulated. If it is regulated, like what those rules are, and if it is an even playing field. The reality of the matter is, nothing's really going to change in major sports. Again, football and basketball, you're not going to, like, Kansas is not all of a sudden going to be playing like, you know what I mean? They're not going to be performing like K-State does some years, right? Like Kentucky basketball is not all of a sudden going to be Western Kentucky basketball.
You might get
Alabama
a couple
football is not going to be Kansas football.
That's right.
Like these guys are still going
and Kansas is not going to be able to buy their way to Alabama football here. By Kansas, I mean Kansas fans and boosters and whatnot.
The big where you may see some is, because I was thinking about this, is in the AAC, where you do have such a wide range of schools. Wichita State and Memphis have a ton of money behind them. Maybe they're able, and same with UCF, maybe they're able to play, to make a gap between some of the schools in that conference that, like, maybe South Florida, maybe. I don't know what South Florida's money situation looks like. I just know Wichita State has a billionaire behind them. I know Memphis has a billionaire behind them, and I know UCF has got all the money in the bleeping world too. So, like, that might be a conference where you see a little bit of the haves and the have-nots, but that's college sports already. So.
Yep, that's the thing is if you're right now, if you're one of the few holdouts and you're just saying, I just hate that there's going to be all of this corrupt money near my pure college sports, I've got some terrible news for you, and Rudy broke it at the beginning of the segment. One thing before we wrap up here and send you into the NBA game tonight is I do want to tell you about the honorary ESPYs that 810's been running. I haven't mentioned it yet today and wanted to sneak it in here at the end of the show because voting is open right now at 810WHB.com. It's all brought to you by Crucial Staffing, and we're celebrating a whole bunch of athletes in the area, medical professional of the year in the area. We talked about it quite a bit actually yesterday whenever I was filling in on the Border Patrol with Nate Bucati. I cannot believe that was yesterday because I took a nap after I got home, and that feels like it happened a month ago. That was great fun. But if you want to get in on the finalist voting for the honorary ESPYs, go to 810WHB.com. You'll see the voting is now open again. Thanks to our friends at Crucial Staffing for supporting all of this. And go check out the categories and see if you have anybody that you want to vote for to win an honorary ESPY with real statue and everything. They're beautiful. And the winners will get them again this year, just like they did last year. So 810WHB.com for the honorary ESPYs. That's going to do it for us here tonight on Almost